From what the heart of Buffy the Vampire Slayer means to Sarah Michelle Gellar, to why the revival series is a good idea, Sarah Michelle Gellar had some things to say about the new series in recent interviews. So Slayers, sharpen your stakes and let's get into it. Hi Slayers, welcome back to Sunnydale Scoop, where I talk everything related to the Buffyverse. And in today's video, we'll be going over some new details of the recent interviews that Sarah had, where she touches on her thoughts on the new Buffy the Vampire Slayer sequel series, New Sunnydale. But guys, before we get into today's video, if this sounds like content that you'll enjoy, then what are you waiting for? Hit that subscribe button and help me get to 1,000 subscribers here on Sunnydale Scoop. And to everyone who has subscribed so far, thank you so much. It means so much to me, guys. Now, without further ado, let's get into today's video. Recently, Sarah attended eBay's Shop 95 pop-up event, where she was curating eBay's 30th anniversary online auction in early September. Proceeds from signed Buffy items went to Make-A-Wish. During the event, Sarah was interviewed about this and all of her other projects, but I won't be covering everything said in these interviews with Sarah, and only will be focusing on anything related to the new upcoming Buffy sequel series. The following quotes come from multiple sources that I'll list in the description below. When asked about revisiting Buffy, this is what she said. Fandoms like Buffy still resonate today because it's not just about the show, but about the community that grows around it. For me, the heart of Buffy was always about found family, that sense of belonging and being loved for who you are. And that's more important now than ever. That's what makes this new chapter so meaningful. It's not just revisiting the past, but honoring the show's original DNA. The fact that people still carry such love for the show after all these years is incredibly special. When asked about reboots/revivals, I think as long as they're good and it's not just rehashing, it's all about the DNA. If you can capture the DNA of an original, I think you're golden. Okay, so let's talk quickly about those quotes from the interviews that Sarah had. So first up, I think, it's pretty obvious that, as fans, the Buffy fandom is really big and it's growing every day. It's understandable that the show resonates with everyone today. That's why we're still here talking about it. Even prior to this new series getting made, everyone's been talking about Buffy for 20 odd years. Do you know what I mean? Ever since it aired, any Buffy fan knows the impact it's had on pop culture, let alone your personal experiences as well. So I think what she said in terms of it's amazing how it resonates with fans, that's pretty obvious. I think we all know that by now. It's nice that she understands that as well. You would hope she would understand that making the new series too. What I find really interesting in this comments here is her referring to, what she thinks the heart of Buffy is and that it's, about found family. Now, I do agree with that. Obviously we have, Buffy and the Scoobies forming such a close-knit group, over the seasons and everything. And, the power of, her friends always helping her through her battles and everything. I think, that's definitely, of course, definitely an aspect of it as well. I don't know if I would call that the heart of Buffy, in my opinion, though. I think for me, the heart of Buffy is layers of the human condition. Do you know what I mean? It's layers of what makes everyone human or the good and bad in people. Do you know what I mean? Not every character always has their likable moments in Buffy or, and then that's normal human life, right? Not everyone's perfect. Let's look at Xander's character, for example, and let's forget about the actor. I know there's a bit of controversial around his actor, but that's not what I'm touching on at all here today. I'm just talking about the character, the written character, right? And so Xander himself, there's moments where, you really like him or you can't imagine him not in the group, but then there's things about his character that you just don't like, or there's things that, of course everyone's opinion is different, but I think there's things about him that, you can see the dynamic of his personality, but that's of the good and the bad in him, especially because I feel like he's good and bad like his negative and positive traits are very polarizing in my opinion. And I think that's a good thing. I think it makes him an interesting dynamic character. You know, sometimes he's a bit whiny, sometimes he's a bit, you know, but then he's also like, he does love his friends and he does care about his friendships, and, you know, he will do anything to protect them, but also he'll do questionable things to protect them as well, you know. And I think that's what makes him an interesting personality in the group dynamic, in my opinion. And the same with Buffy herself. You know, she wasn't always perfect, doing certain things that we didn't always agree with, but then there's so many good things about her as well, you know. I'm not going to get into all those details. I mean, if you'd like me to go over like character analysis of each character and do videos on those, let me know in the comments down below. It is something I am interested in, and so we can touch on that one day. I think the point of me bringing that up is I don't necessarily know if that's the right way to put the heart of Buffy as what Sarah Michelle Gellar said in that interview. Nothing wrong with that. It's definitely an aspect, but let me know your thoughts down below. Do you agree with her comment on that? Like, as in, that is the heart of Buffy? Or do you think she's just generalizing? I mean, she's in an interview. There's not much she can probably say in that space. So, I mean, it is a good aspect of it, but I don't think it's necessarily the heart of Buffy. Just in my opinion. Let me know what you guys think. I think the comment she said about the show's original DNA is, you know, that's quite interesting actually, because I think it's important to capture that essence. You know, I don't want them to forget that when they make the new series. And I guess maybe she's trying to keep that in mind. But again, it depends on what she interprets, or what Chloe or any of the other showrunners or writers who are making this, what they interpret as the original DNA. I mean, you know, I do like that she said it's good to not rehash things and to just, you know, focus on, you know, the original DNA as well, like we just said. You know, I do like the way she's sort of worded that. I think I agree with that for sure. I definitely think that's important. Of course, we want to see a new chapter in the Buffyverse, and we want to see it expand and see what they're going to do with it, while still keeping that, you know, same vibe, I guess, you know, which is what she's trying to say. But again, it's just open to interpretation, isn't it? You know, what is the original DNA to them? You know, what do they see as the original DNA? And I hope whatever, you know, she's seeing, I hope that, you know, she's done. I mean, I'm pretty confident that she's only doing this now because she knows that it's the right way to do it. I mean, she said that before, guys. I mean, in other interviews and previous things in the past, during the making of this pilot, you know, she wouldn't do it unless, you know, she thinks it's the right thing to do. Because for years, I mean, we all know Sarah rejected this for a really long time. She wasn't wanting to do this. And I know some people in the comments of my previous videos and on other places online are saying, you know, she's just doing it for a cash grab and she's just doing it to revive her career. I personally don't necessarily agree with that. She's probably seeing the impact Buffy has had over a course of time, and she's ready to go back into that character in a different way. I don't think she would ever want to reboot Buffy, or like, you know, restart and remake it and restart from scratch. I think she just wants to expand on Buffy. And that's what we as fans want as well. And I think that's important to note here. And I think, you know, in saying that, I think with these comments about the original DNA, I hope she is looking back at what fans really love about Buffy and what we love about the characterizations, the Buffyverse itself, while, you know, still remembering that and keeping that, but also expanding on that. To me, it sounds like they're in the right direction, so I'm hopeful, but I guess time will tell. Well, we have some more thoughts that Sarah made during these interviews, so let's get into it. I've been fortunate enough that I've had work that people remember from all different times. And as an actor, you hope you do work that not just stands the test of time and that people still remember, but still enjoy. If your art that you've created is still meaningful, and also as the world changes, that it still has emotional resonance to the fans, that's all we could ever ask for. But I also feel like some people get stuck in that. I don't feel like anyone's ever done that to me. It's not like people only remember me from one thing in the 90s, or they only want to see me as one thing from the 90s. I've been extremely fortunate. To get the chance to be able to build on those original performances is pretty lucky. I feel like people are really hard on it, but you never get mad every time someone does a new adaptation of Shakespeare or Bronte or any of the other classics. At the end of the day, there is only so many stories in the world, and they all sort of are derivatives. I mean, first of all, about her saying she's sort of not stuck in a certain role, I guess. I agree and disagree with that. I think most Sarah Michelle Gellar fans do want to see her being Buffy again. And I think, most people remember her as Buffy. Of course, she's done a lot of other iconic roles, in I Know What You Did Last Summer, which again, she did revive that role to a degree. I personally haven't seen the new film, but I have seen spoilers of it, so I know what happens there. I won't say too much here, but because it's not about that, but and obviously she has other iconic roles like Cruel Intentions and Scooby-Doo. Done a lot of iconic things, of course, but I think most people definitely kind of want her in that role of Buffy again, and most people know her from her role as Buffy. However, I mean, it's great that she feels that way about her craft, and I mean, this is her work at the end of the day, so she feels lucky to have so many people wanting her to revisit other roles as well, which is pretty awesome. And I mean, she's right about the 90s. I think there is a lot of nostalgia there, and I mean, I think there was a lot of good things written back then as well, a lot of different stories, and she does touch on how, there's only so many things you can repeat or so many stories you can make, which I agree and disagree with that too. But I do also understand where she's coming from. Like, everything is definitely a derivative of something else, which she's not wrong in saying that. And I don't think there's necessarily reason to get mad about things being revived or rebooted or whatever words you want to use. In my opinion, whether it's a reboot, not this new series, but whether anything in, pop culture is rebooted or revived or made into a sequel series or whatever, in my opinion, I'm excited for it as long as they do it right, because at the end of the day, you're not getting rid of the original one no matter what. So for example, if this new sequel series, New Sunnydale, does really bad, I mean, let's hope it doesn't, but if it does really bad, Buffy the Vampire Slayer is still there. It's not gone. It's not, you can never get rid of it. You can just pretend the new one doesn't exist if you hate it. Do you know what I mean? It's always there. The original series we love. And just because they're expanding on that universe doesn't mean it's ruining what the original is. And I don't think anything, even if it does bad or if it does brilliant or whatever, it's never going to change what the original is. And I think that's in a way what she's trying to say there, to putting more into that world, which I agree. And I do agree with that. And, I'm excited. I'm super excited. That's all we have from the recent interviews at that eBay event that Sarah talked about. She didn't give away too much else about the series or about the pilot episode. Just literally, I guess her thoughts and feelings on it, which is really nice to see. And it's really interesting, to hear her take on it as well. I think my key takeaways from this is I have a good feeling about the new sequel series. I have a good feeling that it's going to go in the right direction. The biggest takeaway for me is what she said thinks the heart of Buffy is, which, again, like I said earlier in this video, I half agree with that. I think it's a part of what the heart of Buffy is, but I don't think it's the full heart of what Buffy is. So, and I hope she remembers that too, and I hope she understands that as well. The vibes I have is that she does, so we can only just hope, guys, and I guess we just have to wait and see for more news to come out. Well, Slayers, if you've made it this far into the video, thank you so much. I appreciate you watching and hearing everything I have to say about this upcoming Buffy the Vampire Slayer sequel series. And I want to hear from you guys. Let me know down in the comments below. I read every single comment when I get the chance to. Make sure you comment something down below. I would love to hear your thoughts on this. And what do you think about the new series? Also, if you are enjoying my content and you haven't subscribed, please subscribe to the channel. It would mean so much to me and help me get to 1,000 subscribers here on Sunnydale Scoop. And don't forget to turn on that notification bell so you get notified every time I upload here on Sunnydale Scoop. Bye, Slayers.